the paddock is quiet before the storm. Mechanics move in slow, deliberate silence. Engineers stare at data screens that tell stories no press conference ever will, and somewhere in the Ferrari garage, a 7-time world champion sits, not celebrating, not debriefing, just thinking. Because Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to finish 6th. He didn't leave Mercedes, the team that gave him 6 of his 7 titles, to watch his teammates step onto a podium he couldn't reach. So here's the question nobody in the paddock wants to answer out loud. Is Ferrari already choosing their golden boy? And is the greatest driver of his generation already being left behind?
Pretty terrible.
Let's rewind, because this story didn't start at Suzuka. It started the moment Lewis Hamilton walked through Ferrari's doors, carrying the weight of history, the hunger of a man chasing an 8th world championship, and the belief that Maranello could finally give him a car worthy of his legacy. 3 races in, the picture is becoming clearer, and it is not what Hamilton imagined. At Suzuka, Charles Leclerc fought his way back from a compromised position after the safety car reshuffled the order. He pulled off a breathtaking overtaker on the outside on his own teammate. He defended brilliantly against George Russell, and he stood on the podium. Lewis Hamilton finished 6th. But here's where it gets darker. It wasn't just the result, it was the reason for the result. Hamilton himself told Sky Sport F1 after the race, and these are his words.
The Mercedes are still ahead, and we've not yet made a step to do that.
Today we were missing a lot of power. A 7-time world champion, standing in the Suzuka paddock, telling the world his car didn't have enough power? But that was just the start, because Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, stood in front of the cameras and confirmed something that should have sent alarm bells ringing across the entire Ferrari fan base. We have a straight-line deficit, but it is almost frozen until the ADU. Frozen. Not improving, not closing, frozen. Which means every circuit between now and that regulatory update, every long straight, every overtaking zone, every moment where raw power decides the battle, Ferrari goes in already knowing they are behind. And Lewis Hamilton, a driver who needs straight-line speed to defend and attack, is the one feeling it most. Now, Vasseur tried to calm the situation. He said performance comes from everything. Aerodynamics, tires, setup, every aspect. He insisted the team is working across all areas. That sounds reassuring, balanced, professional. But then Lewis Hamilton spoke again. I hope that by Miami we get a new engine and then we'll see what we can do. Read that again slowly. A Ferrari driver publicly is hoping for a new engine, not expecting one, not confirming one, hoping. And here is the twist that changes everything. Because when Leclerc pulled off that outside overtake on Hamilton late in the race, Hamilton went to his race engineer in confusion. He wanted to know how his teammate had so much more speed on the straight. He questioned the power deployment difference between the 2 Ferrari cars. 2 cars, same team, same engine specification, different straight-line performance. And analysts pointed to something deeply uncomfortable. Hamilton may have spent longer than optimal in energy harvesting mode, delaying his return to full power at the worst possible moment. Small detail, massive consequence. Because in modern Formula One, the hybrid system doesn't just support the engine, it is the engine. And if one driver is extracting it better than the other, that is not just a performance gap, that is a hierarchy signal. Now let's talk about what Fred Vasseur actually confirmed, piece by piece, without ever quite saying it directly. First, he acknowledged that Lewis complained a bit more than Charles about the tires. His words, Lewis complained a bit more than Charles about the tires, and I think it was also the effect of overtake mode. Then he confirmed the straight line deficit is locked until the ADUO, a regulatory window that decides which teams can unlock engine development tokens based on performance gaps to the leaders. Then he said they must focus on everything, not just the engine, or they lose overall pace. And then, almost quietly, he shifted. He told Sky Sport F1 that Ferrari will need to focus on the power unit to chase Mercedes, that the engine gap is the most urgent area of intervention, particularly on high-speed circuits. That is Fred Vasseur, In the same post-race window, first saying the deficit is frozen, then acknowledging it must be fixed. That is not contradiction. That is a man caught between managing expectations and facing reality. And the reality is this: Ferrari now knows Lewis was right. The power unit is the problem, and Miami is the deadline. Here is what this means, on 3 levels. First, the driver dynamic. Charles Leclerc is on the podium. Lewis Hamilton is in 6th. Leclerc is managing tires better, extracting the hybrid better, and finishing races stronger. In the eyes of the data, the timesheets, and the paddock, Leclerc is currently Ferrari's lead driver, whether Ferrari admit it or not. Second, the championship picture. Mercedes holds a 5 to 7/10 advantage in qualifying. In races, that gap narrows, but only when Ferrari can use slipstream and group racing to stay close. The moment Hamilton loses contact with the car ahead, that slipstream advantage disappears, and so does his pace. He is being exposed not by talent, but by machinery. Third, and this is the most critical consequence, Ferrari's strategy history. For years, Ferrari was famous for the wrong decisions at the wrong moments. Pit stop errors, confused strategy calls, races thrown away. Japan showed improvement: Leclerc's extended stint, the safety car timing, the tire calls. Ferrari is learning, but Hamilton needs them to be perfect, because right now, strategy is the one weapon compensating for the power deficit. And even that nearly cost him at Suzuka. So, where does this go? 3 possibilities. Scenario 1. Miami delivers. Ferrari brings the new engine. Hamilton rediscovers his pace. The internal battle becomes genuinely equal, and the real championship fight begins. 2 legends, 1 team, no mercy. Scenario 2. The ADU window closes before Ferrari qualifies for development tokens. The power deficit remains. Leclerc adapts better. Hamilton's frustration grows louder, and the question shifts from who wins the championship to whether Hamilton made the biggest mistake of his career. Scenario 3. Ferrari fixes the engine, closes on Mercedes, but the internal politics have already drawn a line in the garage. Leclerc becomes the chosen one. Hamilton becomes the brilliant support act, and the paddock watches in silence as the greatest driver of his generation finishes a season without the fight he came for. Has Ferrari already decided who their #1 driver is? Or is Lewis Hamilton one engine upgrade away from reminding the entire world exactly who he is? One thing is certain: Miami is not just the next race. For Ferrari, for Hamilton, for this entire season, Miami is the moment of truth, and the clock is already running. If you made it this far, you already know this season isn't about who's fastest. It's about who Ferrari believes in. So tell me, is Lewis Hamilton Ferrari's future or their most expensive experiment?